What up, roomies? Some decisions in life you can't take back. One moment, one choice could change everything, not just for you, but for other people forever. Tonight's guest lived that reality. After serving over a decade in prison for a life altering mistake, he came home, rebuilt himself from the ground up. Degrees, career, businesses, family, and now he's using his story to help others find the better path. This isn't just a story about prison. This is a story about accountability, growth, and what it really takes to change your life. Tito, welcome to Neighbors. How you doing, my brother?
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm doing awesome and happy to be here with you.
I'm happy to have you on. When I saw your comment on the post that I put up, it automatically caught my eye. I was just like, what? I was just like, what? So I had to talk to you. I had to find out what the story was. But as I did a little bit more research on you, you're a very positive person now, nowadays. And, I commend you on that. And hopefully, roomies, y'all could learn something from Tito and we could have a great story today. Ready to do the thing? So when I read your comment, just take me back to the story about what happened.
Yeah. I mean, I'll make a long story short. Uh, how I got to ending up in prison was a little bit of a long story, but to make it short, it started with I was 19, living on my own. I grew up, in a typical Latin household, old school rules. You want your own rules, you get your own place, you do your own thing. And
Believe me, I
so,
know.
yeah, right. So I'm doing that, and I hurt my back. I'm working at UPS, and I slipped two discs in my back, so I can't work. And I'm thinking like I'm gonna have to move back in with my parents. I'm 19 years old. I'm like, no way. And I was so against anything drug related. Like I grew up in Berkeley, California, which was where weed was cool before it was cool and all that good stuff. I was against that too, but I was like, I don't want to move back in. So I called up someone I knew from high school and was like, hey man, can you put me on something? And he's like, oh yeah, I got you. And so I started selling some drugs, cocaine first, and that was too scary for me because that people are fiends for that. And
Oh
I
yeah,
was like that.
believe me.
Yeah.
I,
I
I
was
know
like,
I know about that lifestyle, and
yeah,
once you start dealing that snow, it's a different level.
yeah. And so I was like, man, you got something else? He's like, I got this Mexican brick weed if you want to sell it. I was like, yeah. I'd rather deal with stoners than anything else,
Yeah,
right? And I started doing that. My back started healing up. I started doing some little side jobs. I was able to work, but I was making money. And I went from Mexican brick weed to back then before they had all the stuff they got now. I had the Indo weed, which everyone wanted. And
yeah.
so I was like, man, I'm making so much money. Like I'm gonna just keep it up. And I ended up pissing off some other dealer who wanted my stuff, and I wouldn't give him my connection. And he sent someone to, rob me and shoot me. And home invasion robbery, I had actually just got rid of everything because I was like, you know what, I need to just go back to work. I
Yeah.
literally outsourced my stuff to, ironically, a black dude named Tito across the street. Gave him all my stuff, and I was like, look, I'll just take a percentage, just until it's all gone. And these guys came in to rob us, and it was me, my roommate, who was my childhood best friend, some neighborhood guys, and they laid us out, gun to my head, they're pistol whipping me. Where's the stuff? I'm like, man, there ain't nothing here. And I'll never forget, the gun starts coming up the side of my head. Bam, it goes off. And I mean, everything went black. I couldn't hear nothing. I'm
Yeah.
thinking I'm dead. Right.
Shit.
And then when I sit up, I can see the two guys looking at each other like, what the hell? And they just run. And when I turn around, my best friend's sitting there, puddle of blood shaking. So I'm like, he's dead. Right.
Yeah.
Then he sits up, puts his finger through a hole in his mouth. And I'm like, what the? And he's like, that didn't hurt as much as I thought it would. I'm like, dude, what are you doing?
What
And
the
then he's going through the blood on the floor. I'm like, what are you doing? He's all, I'm trying to find my teeth. And I'm like, so then like sanity comes back in. I call 911. They come, and that should have been the thing that changed my life, right? But what
Yeah.
it did was I got out of selling dope. I got back into school. That was all going good. I still had all my connections, and I was still very much looking for the guys who did it. Like,
Yeah.
if I went back to prison for that, I probably wouldn't feel so bad about it. But I saw him a couple of times, never caught up with him or anything, but I started doing good in school. All that was working out, but I was like away from everything. I end up getting into UC Berkeley. So I come back to Berkeley, start
Fire.
hanging around with everyone again, and
Mm.
dropped out of school. I started working for my dad, and I'm not dealing, but those people are at my house all the time.
Yeah, you're still
So,
associated with them.
so
Yeah.
I'm gonna, yeah, I'm,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
I'm a friend of a friend, and I got people selling weight like keys and pounds and bringing their brand new Benz, and they're like, here, you can use it. I'm like, sure, but I'm working. I'm on the books. I'm good.
You legit.
But I'm partying every night. I wasn't doing drugs, but I would drink and I just party all night and hang out with all these people because they were doing the video stuff, and
Yeah.
then they say eventually, you don't have to be doing it. You're gonna get caught up in it.
Yep, that's a
And
fact.
my roommate, he was someone who would deal, and I told him never deal, never bring it in the house. Right? I was like, I already went through that, and he did. He had a deal go bad, got in a shootout in the house. So I was kicking him out the night my stuff happened. He was packed and leaving, and I was hanging out with my boy, and we were drinking and everything, and they got the door open, and I'm paranoid, so I got my gun on me, legit gun in my name, the whole nine. And I'm just paranoid. And my buddy's like, "What's wrong?" And I'm like, "He's always because of the shooting thing." I'm like, "Yeah," and the door's open. Like,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Man, let's just shut the door then." So he walks in. I walk in behind him. He's saying something to me. I'm pulling the gun out of my waistband because I didn't have no belt on, and so I'm pulling the gun out of my waistband. He said something again. I couldn't hear him, and I went, "What?" And the gun goes off. Bam,
No.
back of the head. And
No.
I there's no other way to explain it. It was like a movie. And in my memory, in real life and in memory, it's the same. Everything went in slow motion. The gun goes off. I felt it come out of my hand. Like I wasn't expecting it to go off. So it comes flying out my hand. And I literally remember going, I just shot a hole in my ceiling. And I'm looking up, and then I see him start to fall. And as I look at him, I can see the hole right behind his ear. And I'm like, oh, and I drop, grab him. I put my finger on the hole. I'm telling him to breathe. A cop was coming around the corner literally at the same time. Someone flagged him down. He came in. I was like, I did it. I looked around. I was like, there goes the gun. Like, just get an ambulance. They get an ambulance. They say he passed away in the hospital. I'm pretty sure he passed away right there. But
Yeah.
that was like my brother. Like, I mean, he was younger than me, but like I was 24, he was 18, but I looked after him when he was little, and then like as he was in high school, I was always around and everything. So yeah, I went in, and before I know it, the cops are changing up the story. At first it was like, we know it was an accident, we just need to get the information. And then it was like, why'd you do it? You were mad at him, you were pissed off, and I was like, what? And yeah, and next thing I know, I'm in court, murder charges, and I'm just like, wow. And then they ended up taking first degree off and changing it to second degree. 2 years county jail, going back and forth to court, and then I got convicted of second degree murder. I got 15 to life and was bussed off to San Quentin. So that's how I ended up in prison. And that is the short story, even though it was kind of long.
Bro, that's insane because, I'm Dominican, so I know how the Hispanic household is raised up. So I feel for you too. And, I'm from Upper Manhattan. So back in the 90s, this wasn't a great place, or in the early 2000s, this wasn't the greatest of places. You know what I mean? So I know how it is to be around certain individuals and be in a certain scene that isn't that's quote unquote unsavory, I would say.
Yeah.
And yeah. And having the luck of the draw where, haven't gotten caught up, have that luck where you're not involved, where you were involved, but then you get yourself out. You know what I mean? But that's crazy how just a quick flick of the wrist and life changed, bro. I'm so sorry.
No, and I tell people all the time, because I've been asked in other podcasts and stuff, people go like, well, so you're on this road to redemption. I'm like, yeah, I'll never get there. It's impossible.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, you can. You're doing so good. And I go, I can never bring him back.
Yeah.
My redemption is trying to do as much good with the life I have so that hopefully whenever whoever judges me when I'm gone, they'll say, hey, maybe you broke even. Like I'd be happy with that.
No, definitely.
But the reality is, and you know, in my journey, I've gone back into San Quentin and done, you know, speeches. I've gone in there and worked with different programs to help people out. And the last time I was in San Quentin, I actually told everyone, and they were like, "What?" Because I was like, "You guys got it better in here. You got free rent, free medical, dental, mental health. You don't have to pay for drugs, like the pharmacies there. like
Yeah.
you get out and you can limit your distractions in here, and you know exactly you know who you're dealing with. Out here, someone's going to tell you everything you want to hear, and they're going to put pictures up on the internet, and it ain't got nothing to do who they really are, and it's
That's
hard to
facts.
figure out who's who. And I go, it's stressful, and that's why I've had two of the brothers that I literally went through San Quentin, went to the same yard with them, and did mainline time, paroled, and was right with them. They both hung themselves.
Damn.
Yeah, and then a third one did it later, and I was just like, and these are dudes like I I, I mean I was with for 12 years, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I was just like, how? And it made me get on myself because those two individuals in particular, I reached out to them and was like, man, you guys aren't doing good. Here's some money. Come stay with me. I'll get you a job. Like I got a house. I got 3 bedrooms. I'm by myself. Like just come. Nah, I'm good. I'm good. And then a month later, hey man, Vince hung himself. What?
That's
Like
crazy, bro.
what?
I'm so my condolences and I'm sorry, man. I
Well,
really am,
but
bro.
but it's a problem because, and mind you, this isn't just individuals in and out of prison or addiction or anything else. And I'm gonna just say because we're men, right?
Yeah.
Like we don't. There's a lot of men that have pressure, and instead of asking for help or saying, "Man, I ain't doing good," they'll just take their freaking life, and I hate that. You know what I mean?
No, I got you. I got you, bro.
And so, like, and for me, it's like, especially you go through 12 freaking years, and then you gonna get out and do it out here. Like, I mean, not that it's right anywhere, but yeah, it hits a little different, man. And I know those are specific situations, but for me, it's like when I talk to people and I'm like, no, tell me what you're going through. Like, I don't know if I can help, but I'll try because I don't know where you at. I don't know
True.
what day you are right now in that week where you might be thinking that, and you just need someone to hear you right now. So like that's part of my whole redemption thing. Like when I get asked those questions, I'm like, I just want to be there for the next person that needs someone.
No, and that right there is an amazing thing because, and this is just going back to the whole relation thing about being a man. In this society, like, in 2026, is now that people are allowing, this half of the species to actually, explore their vulnerability, explore how we actually feel and how that, affects us.
Yeah.
But previous to 2026, even into the early 2000s, it was always whatever problem you have, that's your problem, and you better man up and handle it
Yep.
because you're a grown ass man and no one's gonna save you.
Yep.
And now that we're noticing, especially with the spike of, and I don't want to mention it, but especially with the spike of suicides in
Hmm.
males, the way younger males, especially like teens and like early 20s, how they're kind of like acting towards like the other half of the species, and the problems with that. We're seeing that a lot. The suicide rate in men are going up, and is now that people are starting to advocate for guys. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Is
Agreed.
now, and it's a shame because we're the first ones to go to war. We're the first ones to put our lives at risk.
Yes.
We do what 95% of most dangerous jobs.
Hmm.
So it's like it's good that now we're starting to get the attention and the help that we need, but we've lost so many good people.
Oh
You know
yeah,
what I mean?
100%, 100%.
So with your peoples, was it the transition from, prison life to like regular civilian life that like pushed them over the edge, or was it like just life in general? Because I know life could be a bitch, man.
I think, and I don't know for sure. I wish I could say, yeah,
Yeah,
90% positive. This is what it was. I think both of them in its different circumstances, but both of them they went right back into the kind of life they were in, and not that it was super negative, but the people. Like, you know what I
yeah,
mean? The resources. They didn't say like, "Hey, I'm gonna stop messing with Tito," because every time I'd ask him for something, instead of giving me a hand, he'd give me a drink or he'd give me
yeah,
and that's why I was kind of hard on myself, because I felt like I was giving them the positive resource and they turned it down, and maybe I should have pushed harder. I don't know what I could have did, but I really think that's what happened with them, and they just felt like, because this is how it's always been, I can't go to anyone else. I have to just deal with it like this. And they just didn't want to deal with it. And I hate to say it, but this is also a part of recidivism, why so many people go back. People think they go back because they're bad people.
no,
It's in prison, like, I'm not gonna lie, I was somebody. I had connections. I had a cell phone when no one else had one back in 2004. I was one of the first people caught in California.
yeah.
I went to the hole for freaking escape paraphernalia. Now they give you a slap on the wrist and another phone and tell you to keep going. Like, the people are doing TikToks in there. Like, we were
Yeah,
scared to post anything because that's
you
how they
didn't want
find you,
nobody to
right?
know. Yeah,
So, but I had it good in there, like real good. I hate to say it. And every time I got caught with something I wasn't supposed to have, and I didn't tell on anyone, like I went to the hole for almost 6 months the first time, and when I got out, every guard that was crooked was like, "What's up, G? You need something?" And I'm like, I
I
don't
don't
know. And
know,
they're
but
like,
yeah,
"Man, I got you. Here, man, just take this and we'll talk later." I'm like, "Okay." So I was just that hookup guy. And so I get it. There's people that, because they're big, they're strong, they can fight, they can be something in prison that they can't be out here.
yeah. I
So
got that.
those choices start seeming different to them. To like me, it doesn't make any sense. Like, why would you go jack that full knowing you're going to get caught and go back? But to them, it's like, hey, if I get caught, I'm going back to a situation where I'm the king.
Yeah,
Out here, I'm a pawn. I'm a peasant. I'm nothing. And I think a lot of people that haven't been in and out of the system, and I only went the once, but they don't get that. That's why people go back. They don't go back because they just don't want to change. It's, what are they going to change to? They don't have an opportunity. They don't have a support group. They don't have the resources. So yeah, I think for some people, they don't want to change, or they're just like, they get a taste out here and they're like, man, I'm a nobody out here.
yeah.
You know, I
I
go
got
back
that.
in, I'm somebody. You
I,
know,
yeah, but so do you think that when you're coming out of like the system, right?
Mhm.
How important it is to like surround yourself with like positive people, not like your old school people,
100%.
and and how could like somebody like find the resources they need or the education they need to actually be successful outside when
So,
they've done so much time?
yeah, so one, anyone who knows someone who's going to be paroling soon or whenever, I'm gonna give you the freaking best advice that one of my old cellmates gave me, and that was, um, first set up your program inside so you're already doing it. So when you get out, it's just who you are.
Yeah,
That really worked for me. But he told me this. He said, "Look, you're going to be high risk, high control, all this stuff. They're going to be on you. You know, go see your PO every day until he tells you to stop coming." And I was like, "That's stupid." He's all, every day, and tell him, "I'm looking for a job. I'm trying to get in school." I'm just tell him every day what you're doing. And I did. And after about 4 days, my PO was like, "Stop. I will let you know when I'm coming to see you." Had the best relationship with him. Like, never had any issues. He gave me passes to go on trips and everything. But I will say, like, what you said is 100% true. And this goes for, I don't care if you've never been to prison. You want to change your life, surround yourself with the people that are going to help you get there.
true.
You know what I mean? So my whole thing when I got out, I had a lot of people, even some guys I was in prison with, want to hang out and stuff. And like, for the most part, anyone I was locked up with, if they said they wanted to hang out, I'd go hang out with them because, hey, we were locked up together. But if I
Yeah.
see they about just trying to party and kick it, no, man, I'm trying to get this education. I'm trying to get a job. I'm trying to do things because I went in at 24. I got out at 36. And I'm like, man, all my friends from high school got kids that are in high school now. I'm over here. I don't have a wife. I don't have a kid. I don't have nothing. I don't even have a job.
Yeah.
So I had to start surrounding myself with people that, and I hate to say it, some people I surrounded myself that were actually like working good jobs at banks and stuff like that. The closer I got to them, I was like, oh, they about some stupid stuff too. And I had to cut them off, I had to cut them
listen,
off.
listen. The one thing I will tell you, bro, and this is coming from like I have like a wide range of like of friends and what's the other word I'm looking for? Acquaintances, right?
Acquaintances. Mm-hmm.
I have a large group of friends and acquaintances. I will tell you this: my friends who work at Wall Street and like downtown in the financial district, them dudes is shoveling more snow up their nose than the motherfucker. I do not hang out with them dudes. I'm not like once in a while I'll go party with them, have a couple of drinks, cool, whatever. But that's as far as we go. You know what I mean? If I need some investment advice, hit them up. But other than that, I keep my distance. Because you have to know your role. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And especially when it comes to like your development and your life, you're gonna want to surround yourself around the people that's gonna have your best interests at heart. Yes, those people might be successful, but their interests are not aligned with yours. You know what I mean?
That's it right there. And that's where I also tell people like that circle that you get, you have to be comfortable with when you get to a point where you might grow out of it or grow out of some of them, right? I remember when I first started working fresh out of prison, and then I was a truck driver, and then I went into getting this very low level. I was a systems analyst. So I was a guy who told you to unplug it, wait 10 seconds, plug it back in. I was that guy making $9 an hour, but I was up on the corporate office floor now. And so I attached myself to a director and a manager because I'm like, I want to be like them. So I'm going to start hanging around them. They were some of the messiest, gossipy, but I hung around long enough to get to meet the VPs and the SVPs. And then I was like, okay, now push off, I'm not, and then they were mad at me and I'm like, hey, but I'm not trying to be messy. I'm trying to grow. I'm trying to learn. I don't have time to just do the schoolyard stuff. I want to be on another level. And I was really lucky that in that hunger and wanting to learn and wanting to show that I could add value, I bumped in and attached to this day. Like one of my old bosses at SVP, I was just talking about, I've worked with her at a few different agencies and even did some consulting with her. And, and to this day, we stay in touch. We see each other. I still consider her a friend and a mentor, but it's like certain people you'll keep like that, right? Through your journey. Other people, you're with them for, what do they say, a season?
Yeah.
And you got to be okay with.
No, but it's the truth though. People come into your life for a season or a reason. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just because and roomies, yet again, y'all heard me say this before. Just because a person's in your life for a season doesn't mean that the effect of that person won't last a lifetime. You know,
100%.
Because you can have a mentor that works for you for a year, 2 years, and then out of nowhere they're like, "Well, I taught you everything I know. You're doing amazing. All right, I'm out here. Peace." Like, hit me up when you want to chat. We'll grab a coffee, grab a beer, whatever. Mm-hmm. But our time, this path that we got, we're splitting up now. Yeah, you can't be mad at it because of the fact that that's how life is. You grow, people grow, they go on their own paths. You go on your path, and that's how it's got to be sometimes.
I'm telling you, I've had probably 3 or 4 coaches, even executive coaches now, and I jokingly say they all break up with me. And I'm like, and they're like, I'm all we're doing is talking now. Like, and I'm like, well, I like it. Like, I like being able to bounce stuff off. And they're like, yeah, but
they're like,
I'm not going to charge you for, like, you're helping me more than I'm helping you. And I'm like, I appreciate it. And it makes me feel good, right? But at the same time, I'm like, I like having people to talk to.
No, but you also got, but the thing about it is like that's the evolution of a relationship. That's where
Yeah.
you're not, that person's no longer your mentor. That person's your friend.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know,
True.
and true friendship. You know, you could be across the country, you could be across the world. True friendship, when y'all bump in together, is like time never left. You know what I mean?
Very true. Very
Right.
true.
So like when it comes to like resources and all that, like how does like a person who's transitioning from being inside to like civilian life, how do they get those resources? Do they go through like their parole officer, or do they have to do like the brunt of the work themselves?
Um, it's more themselves, I'll say, for the most part. And I can't speak about every state. I can talk about California most, but I mean the reality is your parole officer will have some resources. You the internet's great. You can find stuff, but there is so much that you just, if you don't know someone who's gonna hook you up with it, it's hard to find. And one thing I found was dealing with, I was going in and speaking at a bunch of different for-profit transitional places. So like lifers at parole, they would make them go to like geo care and stuff like that. They have to go there because they have the state contracts, and they'd have limited resources there. So I started offering, I was like, hey, I'll put courses together, like how to get your driver's license, how to get your resume up to say. And they're like, yeah, come on in. For them, it's like, hey, it's free, and we check a box. But what I was really doing was getting their resources while I was there. So I later on opened my own transitional house. Unfortunately, it's not open anymore. I'm not in California, so eventually the owner sold the house. But that transitional house was open about 6 years. And I mean, I put together a resource binder and I had it in there. And I'm like, here. And I go, and as you guys hear stuff, let me know. I'm going to get on the computer and I'm going to update it. But this is for anyone who comes in here. Here's all the resources locally. Here's like, if you transfer counties, here's resources for all the different counties. But it's about networking. And that's what I always tell people. It's no different than people that have never been in trouble. Like for returning citizens, ex-offenders, ex-felons, everyone has what they want to be called. I'm always like, I'm a felon. I'm not an ex-felon because they ain't never took it off. So the box is still checked. But in that, it's like, we're our best network. I don't know how many people I've got jobs. I got lifers out of prison by writing letters. And I had the attorney general call in saying, can this guy really give them a job? And they're like, yeah, if they're out. And so they were releasing people based on letters I was writing. And I was like, I love that I could be that for someone. I mean, I'll never forget this Hawaiian brother. He was coming up for board and he asked me to write a letter. And he was one of the first letters I ever wrote. They did all the scrutiny on it, asked for another letter to come. So I sent another letter. I was in a big, like, all staff meeting and my phone keeps ringing. I'm like, who the hell? And so excuse me. And I walk out and I'm like, hello. I'm like, hey, Tito. And I'm like, yeah, who's this? He's like, hey, it's Fatso. I'm out. Thank you for that letter, man. I love you, man. And I'm like, holy crap. Hey, man, good stuff. I'm like,
Good
hey,
shit.
I gotta get back in this meeting, but hey, man, I'm gonna call you later. He's like, yeah, I'm with my family, man. I just wanted to let you know. But like, he literally called me as soon as he got out the gate, and
amazing, bro.
So it's like, but it's those little moments where I don't care what else was going on in my life. That right there, I was like, my week, my month, my year's made. Like something I did had a positive effect on. And he's doing good. He's got his own auto body shop.
Amazing.
Like buried, freaking big house. We joke and say you're like the freaking Leave It to Beaver now because he's always all dressed square playing golf and stuff. And I'm like, you were this big bad gangbanging biker dude. Now you're like square house husband and everything. Like, come on.
Now he's looking forward to tea time.
Yeah, right. Hey, but I love it. I love it.
No, but that's amazing when you hear stories about people like, I don't want to use the word rehabilitate, but when people change their lives, for the better. And it's amazing that you're one of those role models that are helping people do that. Because not a lot of people go from, being in a fuck situation to saying, you know what, I'm going to change up, gather my resources, network, and then help the people I was with while I was fucked up.
Yeah. And I think a big piece of that is staying grounded in like, that was at the time, that was a third of my life was in there. Right.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget, like a few years after I got out and I got off parole, I had always told my old celly, this Filipino guy, I was like, man, as soon as I can, I'm gonna come back and visit. He's like, all right, all right. And I was telling everyone, and everyone's like, yeah, yeah, you'll be back in. I'm like, yeah, I am. So as soon as I got cleared, I went back in. And that's an experience going into visiting where you were in, you know,
Yeah.
and then the guards all know me. They're like, gee, is that you? And I'm like, what's up, man?
What's up? I'm
They're
here to
like,
visit some
they're
bodies.
like, what you doing? I'll never forget the first time I went in, like I told the lady, I was like, can you double check and make sure I'm cleared? And she's all, yeah, you're good. And I'm like, no, can you double check? And then a lieutenant comes up and he's asking because he was in here. He want to make sure he can get back out. I'm like, hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
I ain't trying to put on a set of blues and go back in. Nah. He's like, you in here to see Johnny Boy? I'm like, yeah, I'm in here to see Johnny Boy. He's like, that's good stuff, man. You came back. And I'm like, yeah. When I went in, this black dude, lifer dude, when I first fell, he walked up to me and he's like, hey, man, I've been at this pen 20 years. You the first person that said they were coming back that came back. And I'm like, come on. He's like, yeah, had me crying in the visiting room. I was like, man, he's all, no, that's good, bro. That's good. Too many people say what they're going to do when they get out. You doing it. And I'm like, ain't that what we supposed to do? Keep our word?
Yeah, man.
You know? But once again, that's a problem out here too. You don't have to go to prison to have like people out here don't do what they say they're going to do.
No, but I honestly believe that people on the outside are more flaky on their word than the people on the inside.
Yeah, well, because there's repercussions on the inside.
Oh yeah, oh definitely.
You say you're gonna do something, don't do it.
Same thing like the military. You know, if you say you're gonna do something, you got to do it, because if not, you might get kicked in the chest. You know what I mean?
No, I did a little talk on a podcast I did way back when, and I was basically like, yeah, everyone should go to prison. And then I redid it after COVID because I was like, see, COVID is a perfect point. In prison, we always gave each other 6 feet because you got to respect people's boundaries. You guys are acting like it's hard, man. That should be mandatory. You shouldn't be standing right up on someone, bumping into people without saying, excuse me. I'm like, in prison, you're going to find out the hard way if you don't respect people and respect their space. And if you bump them, hey, excuse me, my bad. You all right? Okay, good. Like, you know, and respect people's areas. Like, you don't just go encroaching on someone's spot. Like taking someone's parking spot. Like, if we had cars in prison, there'd be some dead people behind the parking spot. Trust me.
Believe me. I can only imagine, bro. I could only imagine. But like, so when you got out, right? You know, you're working now. What led you to like start speaking to what help basically like what led you to help like other inmates? What helped you like to start speaking and all that?
You know, it was a lot of it was so I was working at Goodwill when I got out. And the reason I stayed working there for years and years and years and moving up the corporate ladder and everything was as a truck driver. And I've told this story a bunch of times, but we had like this metal bin where you recycle metal, and then a big trash compactor, and any of the stuff that isn't going out for sale, you dump it in the trash compactor. And they're always on us like, no overtime, got to hurry up, got to get your routes done, blah, 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 blah. So I was a hustler. I'm moving and grooving, and I go to throw some golf clubs in the trash compactor, and the supervisor yells at me. He's like, hey, what are you doing? And I'm like, man, I'm trying to make this equipment so I can go on my next run. No overtime, right? Got to go. He's like, no, man, that goes in the recycling bin. I was like, you expect me to walk 50 yards down there to put these 6 golf clubs? That don't make no sense, man. Like, I can just throw them away here. And he goes, hold up. He goes, I don't know why you're here working, but you see that car in the parking lot? And I looked, I said, yeah. He goes, that's my car. Goodwill helped me get that. They also helped me get off parole, probation. I got an apartment. I'm about to get custody of my kids back. Every time they pick up that recycling bin, we get $900. I don't know what your check looked like, but I'm going to need you to put that in there so we can get that money. And I was like, I started looking at everyone on that back dock, all these people that I was like, I hate y'all, right? Yeah. And I'm looking now and I'm going, I wonder what their stories are, because his sounds a lot like mine.
Yeah.
Right. And so I was like, man, let me go and put these in that recycling bin. And I went and put them in
Yeah.
there. But then I started asking questions like, so what all does Goodwill do? How do we do it? Like, blah, blah. And that's when I started just bugging the hell out of everyone. Like, I want a better job. I'm not a truck driver. Let me do some and help. And 3 Goodwills later, I left as an executive, so but to your question, like what got me doing, like in that process, I started saying, well, okay, Goodwill helps people like me. How can I help people like me?
Sure.
Right. And so I just started going in and like, because guys that were lifers when I was a lifer were starting to get out and they were going to these different halfway houses and stuff, I started going first to visit. Right. And then visiting, they're like, oh man, the programs they have suck here. And I'm like, man, I know how to write, put stuff together, right? I was moving up the ranks. I was starting to do training and development at Goodwill. So I was like, I can put some curriculum together. So I started putting stuff together. And then next thing you know, my consulting stuff and actually doing speaking and getting paid for it, that stemmed from someone coming up to me and going, hey, they ain't going to tell you, but they got budgets for this. Like you can charge. Just put together an LLC and tell them you want X amount of money every time you come in. I was like, oh, okay. So let me go. What do I got to do to make an LLC? And so I did, and I put it together, and then I started, depending on what the program was and where I was going, like quitting, I just go in for free. Like that was, that's my heart. But other ones that I knew were like the for-profits. Oh no, yeah, y'all gonna pay me.
Oh hell yeah.
But
listen, if you ain't doing charity, neither am I.
Well, and plus I knew they were getting money from the state for all that stuff. So because when I opened my transitional house, they had these grants for all this money. And when I put in, they're like, oh, all these places got it. And I'm like, they're all for profits. I'm trying to just give them a free environment. Like, I'm not trying to make any money off of this. And they're like, yeah, well, they got it. And ironically, I opened up my house, literally cost me like 20 grand out of my pocket. My wife still complains about it. But we got it up and running. And then those places that got the grant money were, hey, can you take some of our overflow people? And I was like, yeah, I need $1,500 a month for each one, like you get. Oh no, we don't have the money for that. Oh, well, then you find them housing somewhere else. Like, nah.
No.
Sorry.
You need the funding, bro.
Yeah.
You need
but I was floating people, like, because I'm like, I'm just trying to make it work. I had a really good agreement with the owner. Like, I pay for all the maintenance on the house and pay the mortgage, and he was good. And I was like, I got you. Because I had 2, 4, 6, 8. I had 8 beds in that house. That's 8 people that ain't homeless and that they got access to stuff. So yeah. And then I just went up to the local grocery store. Hey, what do you do with your outdates? Oh, we throw them away. Hey, can you throw them away down the street? I got some hungry guys that would love to save some money. Oh yeah, they were dropping the food off. I was loving it.
But that's truly amazing, bro, because of the fact that you don't see that a lot. You know what I mean? You don't see people coming out, and yet again, going back to my own background with my own friends that came out, they don't go back to try to help anybody they was locked up with. But yet again, I don't come from the best neighborhood, so the cycle continues, unfortunately. But some of them, no. Let me reframe. Some of my friends, they came out, are doing excellent with themselves, and they're doing really good. Some, not so much, and they're knuckleheads, and their cycle is continuing until they finally want to go. Like how my mom says it, los hombres se maduran cuando ellos quieran.
100%.
100%. So, and for roomies, what that means is that men mature when they want.
Yep. And I was going to say it's just like addicts, right? Like an addict can get sober at any time, but it's never going to be till they're ready. You can give them all the books, all the 12 steps, show them all the pictures and the morgue and everything else until it clicks. It is what it is.
And that's the same thing with people with dudes from the street, man. Yep. Like, until they want to give up that street life, they're not gonna stop. And you could be whatever age. You know what I mean?
For real. I've seen some super OGs where I'm like, dude, ain't you a little old? Like, you can't even see walk no more. What you trying to say? Like,
I'm talking about people I grew up with. By the way, I'm going on 37. You feel me? Knees ain't working the same way they used to. Ankles ain't feeling right. And to my boys that are out there, out in the street doing their thing, I'm like, bro, aren't y'all tired? Like, I don't even have. I was like, you got like 3 kids. I don't even have kids, and I'm always tired. Like, what's up with you, bro? Like, what is you doing with yourself? Because you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about.
It's it. Trust me, I'm 53 and I'm feeling it. Like, yeah. I'm like, I sneeze the wrong way and it could be an issue.
Listen, if you sleep could be deadly now. That's the craziest shit about it. You wake up all fucked up and all that.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
But yeah, man, like so when it comes down to it, like you developed all these resources for everything, and the transitional house you said was open for about 6 years, correct?
About 6 years. Yep.
Out of those 6 years, how many lives do you think you affected?
I'd say so. We moved out of California about a year-ish, little over a year after it opened. So after that, I had my old cellmate was actually going out there, and then he got really busy because he started his own business and started blowing up and got busy. And so then it became kind of self-sufficient. If I had to like put a number on how many people actually cycled through there, probably around high 50s, low 70s over that course. There were a lot of people that were like OG, like they just wanted to stay there. And I was like, it's all good. Like, if there's nowhere else that'll house you, stay. Like the goal when we started it out, and we called it like, I'm not a religious person, but I always say like, it was like grace of God, the moons came in alignment. Because when I got the opportunity with this house, I mean, it was like crack house. Like it needed work.
It needed some love.
And I ain't that guy. Like I am not the handy guy, right? And I'm like, I already got to dump money in. I can't afford a contractor too. Like, so I'm thinking it just ain't happening. I had been looking for this old celly. He was a white dude from county. Solid dude though. And he just happens to find me on Facebook. And he's like, hey, what's up? And we're talking. And then I'm like, man, I'm trying to open this transitional house, but damn. And he's like, dude, I'm like studying to be a contractor. I'm a painter. And I'm like, what? So he comes, he starts bringing dudes he works with to do electrical and stuff. If it wasn't for him, the house would have never opened up, But I mean, talk about perfect timing and everything. I was like, look, I got this money right now. Let's just let me know. He's like, you ain't got to pay me. Can I be part of it? Hell yeah. So we're going out there like once a week doing barbecues with the guys and, everything else. And it was great. And it sucked when I moved to Houston because I was like, damn. I admit because I would go out there all the time. I was taking my daughter was just born. She was 1 when we left. But like I got pictures of her as a little baby running around that house.
No, I feel you, man.
It's like, yeah, but that was a labor of love right there. And it happened. It worked. My wife was joking around. She's all, baby, you should try to do one. Now we're out here in Chicago. She's all, baby. I said, let me get in the jails and stuff here, and then we'll start seeing what could and should happen. But yeah, that's my heart, just providing people that opportunity. And then it sucks because there were also a good 10 people that fell off and went back to jail or, did something else, and that's hard,
No, I believe it. I believe it. But on the opposite side of that same coin, you cycle through 50 to 70 people. That means that you positively affected 40 to 60 people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's great. Because
it is. I just always look at it like it's not enough.
No, but you gotta think about it like this, right? If you're one drop in the bucket, right? You're one drop. Boop. You have a ripple effect. Right? Out of those ripples come more ripples. So you might have affected 50 individual people, and I'm just putting that number out there. But all their families and their friends were also affected by your work. Their communities affected by your work. Look at your Sully. He got, his own business, doing his thing. And it seems that everybody, well, at least by this conversation, right? everybody who you've affected personally has had that positive outcome.
I try.
Hey, listen, that's all you could do, man.
And I'm definitely a person I like to see other people win. Like I love it, you know. And I also, I mean, but even in my professional life, like that's always my biggest roadblock because I think people feel like what I'm trying to do is trying to say that they aren't doing a good job when I'm really like I'm just trying to help you
Yeah,
do more or do less because we make it easier, we make it better. Like I'm operations, right? I'm a senior vice president over operations right now.
yeah,
So, you know, my whole thing is how do we operate better, smarter, faster for less money so that the money can go where we want it to go, like pay the bottom people more money so that they're happy. Like that's always my look. And I've been posting for geez, I think it's like 3 years now. Every day I follow the Gary V model, like post
yeah.
every day, right? And everything is be the change. And that
Listen,
be the change
I'm gonna be
is
honest with you. With social media, I suck. I
yeah.
suck with social media.
But you know what? I'm like everyone thinks I'm super big now, like that I'm all in it. And I'm like, but I started like just a few years ago. Like I wasn't
Yeah.
outside of posting a picture of what I was eating. Like I didn't do nothing. Like
No,
you know?
is that what people don't realize is that with social media, because of the fact that Instagram always changes, TikTok always changes, YouTube always changes. If you stay consistent, you'll get picked up.
Yeah.
It's really a numbers game, and I'm now learning that with like what 4 years into the podcast. But I'm now learning this, and it's because I'm more of a creative than an administrator. I'm gonna be honest with you,
Right. You
and I do
know,
everything myself. You know what I mean?
one man show. I got it. Yeah. No. But I always tell people I'm like, you know, because I coach and I mentor a lot of people, and I always tell them I'm like, you know, someone asked me once in a interview actually for work because some mentoring I do is connected to my work, and so they asked me like what I define mentoring as, and I said, well, people usually need a mentor for one of two things: they're trying to get somewhere, or they're trying to get through somewhere, right?
Yeah.
And so the mentor helps with whichever one, right? And then when you make your way, maybe that's it for that mentor, and you get the next one. Right?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I love being a part of people's journeys, but I always challenge people and say, oh, so you want that promotion? You know, you want to start that business. If I help you get there, I only ask that every person you categorize as an asshole or someone who isn't good at their job or a bad supervisor, you be the better version, man. You create the change that helps the next person that's in your shoes after you move up so that they can be the better person after you. You know, I was like, if we all do this, just think how much better the world will be in a couple of years. Like, because as we
That's
move
a
through
fact.
life, we'll just get better and we'll care about each other a little bit more. So, and I know it sounds, you know, gimmicky, but
But
it's
it's not.
real, you know?
But it's not though, because I can honestly say, ever since I started, when I transitioned from social commentary with my friends to like doing one-on-one conversations with people, there's always one main message that I've gotten across, and I'm since January to now, I'm close to 100 episodes in. Thank you. But the one message that I've always came across is that acts of service is a service for yourself.
It is.
You know what I mean? And that's the most beautiful thing that anybody could do, because when you help somebody, even though you may not think that, it's helping yourself out, you really are. You really are. No, even if you're not expecting anything, you're not expecting any rewards or anything like that. You are helping yourself because now you have somebody that, one, believes in you, and then two, they got your back. It may be for something minuscule,
Yep.
but
You
that
never
person
know.
may say, "Yo, Tito, you're looking for this? I got you." Just like when he was doing the transition house, your
Yeah.
host Shelly came through and was like, "Yo, bro, don't worry about it. We got this."
Yep.
And that's what you call timing, divine timing sometimes.
Yeah. For real. No, definitely. And I always tell people that too. You always want to be mindful of how you treat people and how you interact with people because to your point, you never know a year down the line, a month down the line, 5 years, 10 years down the line, when that person's going to pop back up. And they might
Yeah.
be up here, they might be down here, wherever, but they're going to be like, I remember how you treated me back then.
Yeah.
And so there's a book, Integrity by Dr. Henry Cloud. I thought it was funny. I posted something on TikTok about that, and he actually replied. I thought it was cool.
Nice.
But because part of this book, he talks about integrity. Part of integrity is kind of like a boat going through the water, and the boat leaves a wake. And he was like, that's how we are when we interact with people. And so you might go somewhere, right? But that wake you left, it might be choppy, it might be smooth, it might be beautiful, but people will remember that. And he goes, so we like to do when we call someone and go, hey, would you work with Tito again? If they respond right away, like, yeah, you're like, okay, good way. If they're like, well, in what capacity? Okay, probably not the best, or like, no. Or if I had to, like, but then you can see what kind of wake people left. And so I always tell people, what kind of wake do you think you're leaving with people you work with people that you're friends with, people at school, people wherever, right? And I'm like, at the end of the day, I know I'm not going to leave a good one with everyone, but I'm going to try and leave a good one most places I go. Yeah. You know, even if it's someone that in my head, I'm never going to deal with you again, but I don't want to be that guy. You know, I want you to, remember a good interaction,
No, but that's the absolute truth. Like, you want to leave a good impression to everyone, even though sometimes, it's human nature. We're not going to be able to, leave a good impression with every single person we come across. Some people, we just need to give them that energy where it's like, yo, you need to back up because you're stepping to the wrong one kind of energy. But those are more rarer occasions than the opportunity to be on a good and positive note with people.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's something that I think that now that modern society in 2026 that we don't get enough of is people leaving positive interactions, leaving these, I don't want to say lifelong connections, but leaving these connections where it's like, if I see you 5 years down the line, you're like, oh, yo, Tito, yeah, what's up, man? Like, how you doing? Like, you feel me? And then it's love, it's positive vibes. It might not be like my best friend, but there's a common courtesy amongst y'all two that y'all not trying to be negative towards each other, and it's a good vibe.
Yeah, no, and I even tell your roomies, like, something else to think about is that also works in negative situations. And when I say that, at one of the Goodwills I was at, I was only there a couple of years, and I ended up terminating some people that were tenured, like they'd been there 7-10 years, and it just got to a point where they had to go. When I left, the vice president of human resources came and did an exit interview and asking me all these different questions. We had a lot of success, so there was a lot around that. But then at the end, she goes, hey, my staff told me this. She was new. She's like, my staff told me this, but I got to ask you. I was like, yeah. She goes, I heard you termed a few people. And I was like, yeah, I did. And she goes, is it true? They told me when you did the terminations, they cried and apologized to you, and you were terminating them. And I was like, all except one, yes. And she was like, how? And I said, I don't know how to sum it up, and I tried to explain it to her, and then I came back later and I said, I got it. She goes, what? And I go, I keep my people safe. And she goes, what does that mean? I go, supported, appreciated, fulfilled, and empowered. They always know exactly where they stand. They know they're going to get whatever they need from me. They know they can come and ask for whatever, and they know I'm not going to micromanage them. They can do their job. But they know what their job is. And when it's time to have a hard conversation, they already know it. And those people that cried, they cried because they knew I was trying to get them into another job, or I was trying to give them a lifeline, and they just wanted to try to do it. And when they couldn't do it, that's where we ended up. Yeah. And I said, and the crazy thing, and to this day, I am still friends with these people. Like
No, I
I
believe it.
still like they reach out to me, you know, and all kinds of, and I'm like, so what I'm saying is, don't think you have to like kiss someone's butt to have that good interaction.
No.
But it's when you have the relationship. Like, how many times has your friend not showed up when they said they were going to show up? You're still friends,
Yeah,
probably. You know what I mean? It's like
yeah,
you're an asshole for that, but okay, let's go out tomorrow.
yeah,
You know, it's like
yeah. All my friends are assholes.
well, at least you keep it similar. You know what I mean? No, but yeah, you
I
know,
love
it's
those guys though.
like no, but it's like to me, I always tell people, whether it be my age, whether it be things I've been through, I found relationships make the world go round.
That's
And
big.
so it's okay to say I don't want a relationship with that individual. But whoever you choose to have relationships with, work, school, otherwise, be there for them. You
That's
know,
a big fact.
like don't be sitting on your phone when you're telling me a story about your girl just left you. You know what I mean? Like
Be
I should
present.
be there, right?
That's a big
And
fact. See?
you know, and because then you're going to be like, man, you listen, even though I might not be able to do nothing. Like, hey, I'm here, and you know I'm here because I ain't distracted.
That's a
Um,
big fact. That's a
yeah,
big fact. See? And before we get up out of here, right?
yes,
I
sir.
always ask this question to all my guests before we wrap things up. Do you have any final thoughts, words of wisdom, or advice for the roomies before we go?
Yeah, just stop waiting, or don't wait for someone else to tell you you can do it. Don't wait for the lotto ticket to come across your desk. Don't wait on any of that. If there's one thing I can impart on anyone with my story and the levels of success I was able to achieve real quick coming fresh out of prison, is don't let anyone tell you no. My consulting business was forward consulting, no excuses, only solutions. The day you stop coming up with excuses and start coming up with solutions, you will change your life. You can do it. I have faith in you. I know you can do it. I only need you to know you can do it.
That's a big fact. And roomies, remember, where there's a will, there's a way. And when one door of opportunity closes, another will open. And if that the one don't open, make sure you kick it the fuck down and you do what you gotta do. But other than that, peace out.